So what needs to change a little bit in the industry for the benefit of Meyer Burger like products to be more visible to the installer and maybe to the homeowners?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say modeling software has to evolve to capture all the things that we just walked through, right? So making sure that they are factoring temperature coefficient, making sure that they are factoring degradation, making sure that they are showing very transparently year one, just as bright and shiny as they show year 25. And so I think making sure modeling software is evolving at the speed that the technology is evolving, because if it doesn't, then it leaves homeowners in the dark on really what they could be or should be buying. And we talked about it. This goes for anybody who's releasing a TopCon panel, anyone who's releasing an IBC panel, certainly our heterojunction panels, which we're not the only ones who have heterojunction. We're just the best ones. And making sure that the modeling software is capturing all of those, because if it doesn't, then we're not being as hyper transparent and honest with the customer as we need to be. So that's something that needs to happen. I know a lot of them are doing it and working on it, but I don't think that we're all modeling software companies have accomplished that. I would say financing needs to change. We have to see a shift inside of this. The interest rates are pretty high, but I think the dealer fees inside of there are really what's eating up a ton of it. And we need to find a new way to make solar more affordable consistently. So it's not so much relies on the banks and their determination on how much the dealer fees are going to be, what the interest rates are going to be, but we have a little bit more stability and consistency for homeowners. So the economy doesn't change it so much and they can buy it anytime that aligns with them, not just when interest rates are really low or not just when dealer fees are really low. So a major shift in the financing that makes a more stable model for homeowners would be important. I think anybody at Meyer Burger will say this, but transparency of supply chain. We are incredibly proud that our panels, we can prove that no component along the way is ever made with unfair labor or forced labor or slave labor. And I'm speaking specifically out of the Uyghur region in China, right? Like we can back into that. Yes, you can have components that come out of China, but they should never, ever be coming out because of forced labor and just for sake of making a cheaper, more affordable panel. So transparency in supply chain, I think if in Europe and in the US, if homeowners had a big transparency of supply chain, that would change what panels they would buy. And I feel pretty confident they would even spend a couple pennies more to buy one that didn't use forced labor. So supply chain transparency there, huge. Education on education on emerging tech, which is what you guys do, right? That's you. You just keep doing what you're doing. And then I'll help you make sure everybody's listening, but you keep doing what you're doing because that's important. It changes, it evolves, and they can be complex terms and complex ideas. People like you can go out there and make them simple and easy to digest and then easy to go research later. Then you're doing what you need to be doing. So I'm going to high five you virtually over my Zoom call. And I would say end of life recyclability. That's not going to be everybody, but for some people, it is important to know, like, hey, when I want to move on, right? When I want to be done with this panel and get the next technology that's out there, how recyclable is this panel? Or where's it going? Or does the manufacturer even have a plan for it? And I bring it up because I know we do. And I know that ours are super recyclable, right? And I know that we use recyclers in the US. We don't ship it back over to Germany to continue to keep our footprint small and build on that sustainability portion. But we've got the support from the US government for a lot of homeowners that are eligible out there to get solar. At the 30-year mark, what happens, right? Or at the 25-year mark when they're ready to upgrade, we can't be setting ourselves up for failure and a landfill of solar panels that were made without the end in sight. And that's what we do. We make our panels with the end in sight. And while we're not quite at 100%, my gosh, we are nearly there with our panels.
Thank you. Thank you for all this
Yeah,
depth.
I know it's a lot. I get
It
passionate
is.
about this side of things,
That,
though, but that's why I belong in this industry.
yeah, that was great. Thank you for sharing a wealth of information with us, Michelle, about Meyer Burger and the industry overall, and a lot of technical concepts that consumers and buyers of solar assets need to know about. And this was one great session of good education and information.
Seriously, thank you so much for having me on and for just inviting Meyer Burger, not me in general, but Meyer Burger, and allowing us to be part of the conversation, and at the end of the day, helping to educate people to make what can often be a big decision. So I love that you're doing what you're doing. It's so great to see and hear. And anytime you want to welcome us back to keep going with the education conversation,
Yeah.
we're on board.
We'll keep diving into more and more product and tech and customer stories and more, hopefully.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.